sales domain quite a bit. And salespeople sometimes lose their energy, right? And I talked to the manager, I said, engage them in a project around the office. Engage them in a project that's going to bring out their unique passion. And typically the sales manager says, no, they have to stay working, getting the deal done, right? But what happens, they've lost all their energy. And so the key is to really find people's passion. Somebody said that, was that you? Find people's passion in a way that you can use that to re-engage that fuel. Right? And once they feel good about themselves, then these other projects are easy for them. Right? But if you've lost all the energy, then it's a struggle in these other projects. We can't always be in those perfect projects, right, that just we're fully alive. But we have to have that fuel that's kind of, the guy that's taking the coal and throwing it in. Right? We have to have someone throwing that coal in, and we are the person doing that. So we need to find those places. Sometimes it's through athletics, right? Sometimes it's other places, right? Having the right girlfriend. She's really sees you, engages with you, feels you full of energy. It's like, I can conquer the world. You want that place in your life. And because you guys have so many things going on, I assume, and this is what happens to everybody else that are older than you, that the things that start dropping off the table are your things. Right? And your things are what really keep you alive. And you're at a young age where you can sustain that energy for a while, but once they start dropping off, and you can't figure out how to bring them back, then this stuff starts, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. You ever heard of the sword fighters? Right? How I kill you is not to stab you, is I slice you until you bleed so bad that you just pass out. So I'd never have to get to that place where I'm going in for the death blow, which is a high risk move. Right?
Yeah.
So, trust. Let's go back to this piece again. Kind of ran over it pretty quick. Distrust. What is distrust?
You have no confidence in somebody.
You what?
You have no confidence in somebody. They may even have.
Typically, when you distrust someone, what's happened to you?
You've trusted them before, and they let you down.
Right. So you say distrust usually lives in the past. I don't think we're born distrustful. We've run into some situation. Now, the question in the world, you want to be a distrustful person. I don't know if anybody in this room, looking at your eyes, you distrustful. So everybody has a little distrust in their body. One of the things you want to do is isolate. Why am I distrustful around this? Because that's automatic behavior that you probably haven't checked. And if it means you haven't checked, that means it's showing up in the world, and guess what? It's shutting down possibilities for others. Shutting down possibilities, because guess what comes up? As soon as that gets triggered, you don't even think, screw that person. I'm not even going to talk to them. They don't know what they're talking about. You just put that bar up, and all of a sudden there's no relationship possibility. And yet that could be the only person that can really get you where you need to go. And just because of your past story, it's preventing you from seeing that. So distrust is something that we really want to look at from our own personal point of view. Where am I distrustful and why? And move through that. Learn to release that. The other side that we talk about is naive. Naive is what?
Trust. Blind trust?
Blind trust. Whatever you say, right? You want to be careful around people that are naive. And if you have naivete in your body, you want to pull back off of that. Right? Sometimes people are naive because they tried to step up in the world, they've tried to do something, and they've had dominant parents or dominant peers or something, that every time they showed up, they couldn't show up. And so they've accepted the role of whatever you say, I'll follow whatever. That's not a good place for either side. Some people, I was working with salespeople, and they liked working with naive people because I control the situation, it's great, right? And it's like, no, it's not. Taking advantage of that situation, right? So you want to stay away from those bookends. Any questions about those two bookends? Yes, sir.
Does the distrust also follow in competence and sincerity, or are there different things you look for when you're trying to identify those in yourself?
incompetence and insincerity doesn't follow. I haven't mapped the two, but yeah, it makes sense to me. You want to do a project on that for me? I like it. Okay, so in the middle, we got distrust, naivete. In the middle, this thing called prudence. We know what the word prudence means. Moving with, I still have my concerns, but I'm open to what's going to happen. I'm still responsible for my space in a certain way, and I'm listening for, what are the two things we're listening for? How do we assess trust?
Competence and experience.
Sincerity.
Oh, sincerity.
Yeah. So I'm listening for that. So as I move into this relationship with you, so we're going to do a project together, as I move in this relationship with you, I'm listening for, hey, is he competent? Let me check. Because sometimes people don't know how to build trust. And so I wanted to ask the questions. Well, tell me a little bit more about this. Tell me more about that. And as he responds, and as we have meetings, we can start to say, you know what? He shows up on time. He cares about me. We have eye contact. Right? We're connecting. It's like, right? They're asking the right questions about my concerns. How do I take care of them? So now I can move another step closer to trust. And over time, we build trust. Well, so you see that move, then we're allowing ourselves to grow into trust. Right? When we're into trust, we're still responsible for our space, but we have such a unique connection between the two of us that we can take care of each other in a very deep way. What sometimes happens is we start to move up the spectrum beyond trust to naivete. It's like we've done so much business together, just send me the invoice. It's all right. Guess what happens? He starts writing extra invoices. Right? And it was my fault. As business professionals, you want to own both spaces. You want to be responsible for that. Right? So don't fall into that naivete because it saves you time. How's that?
Good. Yeah.
Incredible. So one word.
I like it.
Who said incredible? Hey!
You're talking about energizing people.
Yes, sir.
When you're talking about, you said you talk to sales managers about energizing people because they feel like they don't like the project they're on. When you say that, do you mean to what extent? You say people give, when they're pressed for time, they sacrifice the things that are important to them. So what if what is important to them has nothing to do with the work? Should you still take the time with your group to go out and say, maybe they all love rock climbing, would you go out on like a weekend trip or something?
Yes.
Does that work?
I like it, yes. So, I don't know if I completely understood the question, but
if what excites them and doesn't have to do with
yes,
work.
It's a passion. Yeah, sometimes the passions, like fly fishing for me, like that I need to be in nature. I need to connect with nature. There's a oneness. I don't know if you guys are into meditation or any type of activity that you can't think of anything else but what's in front of you. Very powerful for men to be there because it allows us to let go of the world. Masculine, we were talking about feminine energy is always free. Masculine energy is always seeking freedom. We're moving to clear. We want to release. We want to get done. We want to step in and say, I'm back. I'm 100% ready for whatever's next. Right? So when we talk about projects, about engaging people's energy, if you see the team's kind of coming down, that's why they do offsites and those type of things. But most managers aren't clued into what turns somebody on, what makes them excited. So if you know that the team's excited about rock climbing, and you can go spend an hour or two or 5 or a day on the rock, right? That's gonna really re-energize the whole team to re-engage in the work projects, right? The piece also that as you start your company or you look to build companies around you guys, you want to always look for those unique skill sets that people can bring to the table, and you want to try to keep them in that. And you don't want to stretch them. Usually a top performer in a certain area will then start to get stretched into another area, and because they're an A player and they say yes to everything, they'll take that on, they'll take that on, they'll take that, and then all of a sudden they're diffused. And when they're diffused, it's like, I can't see anything, I can't see straight. And they lose their energy. So you have to be a manager that sees people, sees what they're excited about, make sure that shows up in the team. Give them the opportunity to allow it to show up. So when you're managing projects, these different teams that you're having, Find those unique things and empower people, as you talked about delegating. Empower people to do what they love to do. They'll do it for free, by the way. They'll do it for free because it's their juice. There's different kinds of capital. One capital is cash, but another capital is energy. If I'm in a space where I'm getting energy, then I'm there. Because energy at my age, it's it's depleting a little bit. So when I get opportunities to be in energy, it's like, yes, I'll take that capital all day long. Right? Find that capital in each person and make sure that they can build that in a way that it recharges them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions regarding this? Yes, no, maybe so? No? Okay, I'm going to ask you guys to stand up.
Sorry, Val.
We'll live. Yeah, don't slip on it. Okay, so part of what we're going to be going into conversations about masculine and feminine. And one of the things I want to first show you is I'm a somatic coach. And the somatic coach is that means I work with people's heads, like their conversations up there, but I also work with their body. When I say when I work with their body, I basically look at someone's body and I say, wow, is that set up for its optimum use? Right? Or is there some kind of constriction, which typically is connected to some emotion, that's connected to some story, that's preventing them to be their biggest and best in the world? Right? And so when I'm working with executives and people, I'm listening to their stories and I'm connected to their body. And our body is what we call a reservoir of all of our experiences. Everything that you've experienced in your life lives in your body someplace. But some of them really have tight hold of us. So if you guys are approaching a girl, that might be one. It might be difficult for you to walk up to a woman and say, hey, how are you? There's some restriction in there, like I might be embarrassed, I might be ashamed, or or last time I did this, I got slapped, and right? The body shuts down, right? So part of it is to be aware of really what's happening in your body. So the somatic work that I do with people is to build awareness in their body. Like, yeah, I walked into a situation and whoops, I completely shut down. It's like, oh, look at me. This is not a good leadership role, right? I was triggered by this situation, so can I do something about it? Yes, I can have a choice here. What could I do? Oh, I can open up again. In order to open up, though, I have to bring energy, it's called volition, into my body, and then I have to act. And then once I'm open, it's like, then I can adjust. And then it's like, oh, you're back. Right? So, what I'm going to teach you guys is called a centered presence. It's a real simple exercise, and my request is that you guys do this a few times every day if you can. But when you meet with business professionals, if you're centered and present with a business professional, they'll know you're in the game, right? You're with it. If you're centered and present with a friend, right? They'll know that you're there for them. That sincerity piece. If you're centered and present with a woman, woo, she wants that. She wants you to be there. Men are focused, women are diffused focus. Diffused means that when they walk in the room, they see that puddle on the ground. They feel the heat. They see the different lights. They know that window shade's not quite right. Da, 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 da. And it calls to them. For us, it's like, I got to get in and get to my seat. Right? That's it. That's all we see. That's all we see. We're so focused. But the diffused focus is a whole different thing. So when a woman's like, they need someone to ground them. And that's the masculine energy. When a man can be completely present in front of a woman and ground her, she can, and all of a sudden she goes, I don't have to worry about everything. I can just be here and be me. And you do that for a woman and she'll love you. Whether it's a friend, right, your mother, doesn't matter, your sister. It's like, own that space for them. That's one of our gifts to figure out, is to be able to give them that peace of mind that they're safe. And this technique will help you understand what that means, okay? So, we are a three-dimensional being. Are we okay with this?
Yes.
Are you guys curious about it? Kind of? So, here's the piece. So, if you look around at everybody's bodies, let's just take a peek. If you look at everybody's body right now. Become an observer of people's bodies. As a leader in the world, you got to see when people are triggered, when people are holding. Like, how am I going to motivate them? Are they there with me? Are they not? Are they checked out? Like, these are, the body speaks volumes. You know what they say? What, 75% of communication is how they show up. Right? Then you got tone on top of that, what, 10 to 15%? And then you have words on top of that. Right? So my presence is what you guys are mostly being communicated with. Right? My energy and how I'm connecting and putting that into you. It's like you guys are like, oh, at least that's what I'm thinking. I'm feeling you're with me. Right? Right? And I'm saying words. Right? A couple of them are sticky. Right? So the body is a three-dimensional being. Right? And so I'm going to walk you through an exercise. We're going to go through the three dimensions. And then I'm going to walk you through a releasing exercise that allows you to stand in the centered space. Right? And then I'm going to ask for feedback. So the first one is length. So I want everybody to stand up. Length is two-dimension. Right? We're grounding through our feet. You guys ever done this exercise where you can actually plant yourself? See roots coming out of your feet. Plant down. Into the soil. Roots go into the soil. We're also extending up. Right? We're not just extending up. If someone, so I can start paying attention to people, and if I see them kind of walk around like this, I know that they're in this visionary type world. Lots of ideas, but they have no grounding. So if I'm going to work with them, I have to ground them, or I take them out, because they're not valuable to me. Ideas are one thing. Grounding's a whole other. So you as a human being have to be both of those. So a leadership presence is to be able to, I can see the inspiration of the upper third of the world, at the same time I'm grounded. I know my balance sheet, right? I know my numbers, I know my requests and promises. Okay, so stand like that, stand up, and if you, on this exercise, you want to extend up even more, just really feel going up. I want you to be able to stand and look at me, and I want you to be able to see the entire upper third of the ceiling, like the ceiling should speak to you.